do you think we'll have AGI by the next election?
I think on this like first rung of the ladder, which is, do I think we'll get models that can match human capability on these range of tasks by the end of this decade? I think the answer is actually that's a pretty highly likely thing. So whether it's 2029 or whether it's 2032, somewhere in that range, I think it's got a high likelihood. But I don't think it's a slam dunk. I think it's dependent in part on some of the key bottlenecks of energy and land and being able to build the infrastructure for it, and memory in particular as well. But if you just said to me, what's your bet for the timeline? I'd say 50-60% chance it happens by the end of the decade.
All right, interesting. That almost makes you the most sceptical of the three that I've asked.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, Peter Carr was like, yeah, I think it's going to be there. And I was literally interviewing Keir Starmer a couple of weeks later. So I said, well, here's your Secretary of State. And he just said, well, I think Peter's pretty close, but he is an ambitious guy. And then he moved him. So
right, okay. I can't be the doomer of the Prime Minister, the Secretary of State for Business, and the AI Minister. The AI Minister needs to be the hype man for AI. Look, no, I think there's a good chance it can be by the end of the decade.
Yeah, I think it's that's a fair summary of it. And what do you think the impact could be, right? Like, that's the critical thing that we're talking about here. Obviously, the impact on jobs. What do you think what's the job that's most at risk over the next 3 or 4 years?
So I think the reason I'm really keen on making sure we talk about each of these rungs of the ladder, not just what the model can do, but then is the stitching in place for it to become genuinely agentic? And then beyond that, is it at an economic level so that we can actually deploy this at scale? Those two steps are really important. On the model, as you said, maybe we're 5 years out, maybe we're 7 years out. But I think the next two steps actually will take a long time, because as with so many foundational technologies historically, it's not just whether the technology is good enough. You're thinking about the steam engine, you think about even things like ATMs. I think for at least 2 decades after ATMs, the number of accountants in the world grew, didn't decline. And so the reason for those is because the patchiness of capability and the fact that our organizations, all of us, take quite a long time to reform ourselves so that the technology works with us and for us, means that there's a way to go. So that's the starting point. On which sorts of jobs are most exposed? Look, I think the jobs that appear to be most exposed are jobs that involve one sort of task or a narrow set of tasks where the outcome can be validated, so that you can tell a model, here's some data, try a task, it tries the task, you can validate whether the outcome was good or bad, and you put that back into the training, and the model improves. So tasks that are narrowly specified, don't involve lots of different sorts of things knitted together, and where you can validate the outcome. So I'm thinking, for example, exam tests and things like that, written exam tests. Clearly those have been done well. Maths, a lot of maths actually and scientific progress is being driven by AI. You can clearly see that administrative roles, which largely involve mechanical writing and copying of particular things, I think those sorts of roles are most exposed to AI. But I think there are so many roles in the world which involve not just the tasks, but the knitting that stitches it all together. And I think when it comes to those sorts of things, I think there we have a bit of a longer runway to go.
And you've got this sort of announcement today about sort of upskilling people.
That's right. Because the biggest question, Jimmy, is in terms of what the impact of AI is on jobs, is to impress on people that we have agency on this question. It's not just something that we sit back and say, when do you think AGI comes and kind of what happens as a result? No, we are participants in this. We can shape this. And so the announcements this week have been about shaping it in the direction of human progress. And so we had committed to train 7.5 million people by 2030 in AI skills. We are well on course to do that. In fact, we're going to breach that target and be even more ambitious. So we're going to go punch bigger in that context as well. We've got an AI hub. I encourage everyone, we'll share the link with you. We're encouraging everyone to go online. You can get essential courses so that you can upskill yourself in this